Did you wait for me?
I waited for you.
Remember, you're sitting in an important seat now.
One that banged with the door.
Good morning. Today is March 2nd, 2022. And I am Kevin Day, Chairman of the Board of County Commissioners. And I will call this meeting of the Board of Commissioners to order. The time is 9:02. Bob, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Sorry, I didn't mean to catch you with your mouth full. And if you have your cell phones on, if you wouldn't mind turning them down. Kelly, could we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Day,
Present.
Commissioner Kanda.
Here.
Commissioner Flower,
I am present.
and Attorney Clint Smith.
Present.
Clerk to the board, Kelly Camper, present.
Okay, and we'll start up here with the introductions then.
Bob McDonald, Custer County Airport.
Leslie Parks, resident in Cuerna Verde.
And,
Karsten, BOCC admin.
okay,
KES, right? Is it KES?
Very good, thank you. Yes.
and then I'm not seeing anybody else online. If someone comes on and would like to speak later, I will have them identify themselves. Any amendments to the agenda?
I have none.
None from me.
Just a note from me, we did make that amendment yesterday. I think it was done in time that we were able to switch and have the landfill put on today's. So we did not have to amend that.
And just for clarification, then I added it. I've got airport, landfill, human services, IT, and OEM.
Correct.
That's what I have. And we have no minutes today. Commissioner items. Let's start on this side today and change it up. Bill?
Just had a ball doing caucus stuff last night. We had a good turnout. I think all three did from what I understand. So, all the news that fit print.
Tom?
And nothing for me, so.
That would be the same with me. I think we just all caucused last night, so. Clint, do you have anything for us?
I just, the letter Jackie had you sign yesterday for the denial of the STR. There were some issues with it as far as the grammar and everything. She sent it to me and I revised it for her last night and sent it back. So hopefully it's a little more readable now.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Nothing yet.
You promised. Okay. Do you have anything for us, Kelly?
No,
Okay, just thought I'd check.
thank you.
You know what, Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes.
could bring it up later, but I think it's all right. So probably appropriate now. Adrian sent us an email with the new contract for our variable message boards to be in the CDOT right away. I suspect we're going to need to sign that. Don't know if we're going to put that on an agenda.
Deadline on it. I didn't see
He
it.
didn't say, he just said, please review, sign date, return back to me. We can talk to him about it during the staff report if we want. Find out what the status
We
is.
can do that. Then if we need to put it on mid-month or something, we can do that.
Mr. Chairman, I did have one other thing. I just want to show how busy I am. Shannon has asked me to prepare an IGA for his office, the Fremont County Sheriff's Office. They're going to, Fremont County Sheriff's Office is putting on some training. And Shannon wants one of his deputies to participate in that. He wants an IGA between the two offices. So I'll be working on that.
Thank you, sir. That will bring us to public comment. So if anyone has anything they'd like to address that's not on our agenda, they may do so at this time. Yes.
I came to ask you about short-term rentals. And the possibility that you would limit the number that we can have in this county. Went to the planning commission meeting on Monday. They said they presented it once and that we did not approve it. We just have problems with short-term rentals in Cuerna Verde. We have covenants that we enforce because that's our duty according to state law. And our covenant says no businesses of any kind in Cuerna Verde, but it doesn't specifically say STRs because they were made in the 1970s when there weren't any. So according to our attorney, if we tried to prohibit them, they take us to court and win.
Wow.
There's a case in Mesa County, I believe, where the judges have said STRs aren't businesses. They have to get a business license. They pay business taxes.
State classifies them as a business.
So why aren't they a business? I mean, I don't understand that. If that were to happen, then we could say, no, you may not have them. We've had problems. We've had renters. One of the problems is most are, well, I think we only have 4. But those owners don't live here. They live in Connecticut. They live in the Springs, and they don't know who rents these places. And we had a shooting incident. Some guys from Texas were out in the backyard on a 5-acre lot shooting 9 mils. And they hit a house. It could have killed somebody. Another one of the STRs had too many people. Who monitors how many residents stay in an STR? Because according to their bedrooms and their bathrooms and the size of their septic, they can only have so many residents. They ran the well dry. And I'm very, like you are about your candy. I'm very possessive of our water here in this valley, and I don't want, and we're augmented.
Great commodity.
Yeah.
Quick
And we're
question.
augmented in Cuerna Verde. We don't want to, and of course that could affect my well as well.
Did your attorney say you can amend your bylaws and
We
change it
could.
to STR?
We could, but we have the same problem as every HOA here. We have 536 platted lots. We have 100 homes. So you send out a ballot asking that. We've tried this before with other covenants and you get 20 responses. You have to have 67% because a lot of these people don't even know what's going on in the valley because they don't.
67% of all the
536.
or all the owners, whether they have residents there or not.
Yes, so that would be.
It's pretty big.
that
Can
would
you
be-
change that in your bylaws? Why do you
We
need so
could.
much?
Well, so far our attorney keeps telling us,
Yeah, takes 67% to vote to change it
yeah.
down to something less.
So we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. The other thing, since we've gotten embroiled in all of this, is when they also trespass. We had some people who are part-time residents who came back to their home and lived near an STR, and the renters had come onto the part-time residents' home, sat in their deck, drank beer, left trash. I mean, they're trespassing. And they trespass on our common property, which has a golden eagle's nest in it, but it's not for the public use. It's privately owned by Cuerna Verde. And these renters are going in it and climbing down the walls. If they were to be hurt, you know who's liable. Cuerna Verde is. And we can't do anything about it. Our hands are tied. So until they're classified as a business, can the state not overrule that court ruling about that they're not a business?
Hoping not.
I doubt that. But I would speak to you for a second. As a matter of fact, yesterday, we've placed that on our agenda for our mid-month meeting in Wetmore.
About SDR to limit them?
Yes, because we're trying to fix a few issues, and so that is on our agenda.
Okay, that's
For
one
decision down there. So it's not something that we're just,
blase.
yeah,
About-
so
yeah.
we know, and to speak to you there in Cuerna Verde, I think that's the area that has received the most short-term rentals.
Yeah.
And So, and that's something that we're gonna look at as well. So we're gonna look at some of the issues we've got, and we're going to do that at our mid-month meeting. So
Okay,
just so you're aware of that.
okay. Do you have the legal right to limit the number in this county? Can you do that?
Yes.
Okay. And the other thing that occurred to me, you were telling me last night that this is, if you want to have a business in the county, it has to be connected to agriculture. Is that correct?
Well, that was the, when I was describing what the land use is, that agriculture is the right to do that. Anything else requires an SUP.
Permit.
Permit, a
Right.
permit,
So.
special use permit,
Right, so-
anything
and so
else.
they can get that as of now.
Sure.
District. Thought I had.
That's what an STR is a type of an SUP. basically.
Right, special use permit. The other thing is, when we lived in town, I was on the Westcliff Town Board, and they had a mandate to provide affordable housing. Now, do you have that mandate also in the county?
We have a desire.
Well, there you go. So if we have more and more STRs, that raises the price of real estate. It's already a problem for affordable housing here. It's just going to get worse. And to me, that's a terrible problem. And to have neighbors who aren't my neighbors, they're hotel people. I'm just really none of us are about having that. But also, I'm glad to hear that. I will be at that meeting. Could you tell me that date?
That will be on March 16th.
March 16th.
Right in the middle. It's a Wednesday.
Community building in Wetmore,
At 9?
9 o'clock.
Okay.
You're learning.
And the actual agenda item is for consideration of having a
Moratorium.
moratorium, excuse me,
Yes.
on any new STRs for the time being
Okay.
until this can be studied more.
Right.
Right. And I'm not opposed to SDRs in general. There are places where I think they're fine. But when they're out where we live, people think they're in the national forest. They think they can do whatever they want. They start fires, which is, I'm a wildland firefighter, and that could be disastrous. You saw
Well, and
what
you-
happened at the Junkins
Yeah,
fire.
and you saw our process. We don't just willy-nilly allow STRs. There
Right,
are
right.
people that object like you do, can
Uh-huh.
bring it, and you saw us deny several of them.
Yes, and the planning commission, that was excellent. I was very impressed with.
And then, of course, then we have to support that, and we do.
Yes.
Tom, I think you had something.
I do. Thanks for coming in, Leslie. Appreciate it. Wanted to just point out a couple things in the zoning resolution. You may be aware of these.
May not.
You may not. And thanks for bringing that up, because that was my understanding that the agenda item is to discuss a moratorium, not a cap. It may come up in the conversation, but placing a cap on STRs is not on the agenda. It's a
So
moratorium
that just means,
for further study.
okay, so that means no more would be allowed.
As of a certain date that we will probably set during that meeting. That's correct.
Okay.
Until such time as we
Right.
feel like we've got the process lined out. 9.10 is a section in the zoning resolution that refers to short-term rental, starts on page 70 in my copy anyway. And 910, 910(1)(b) states that based on the statutory authority cited in Article 15, the Board of County Commissioners is empowered to license and regulate short-term rentals in Custer County. Here's the point, and to classify them as businesses for such regulatory purposes for the same reason that the IRS classifies them as businesses. So that was one of the benchmarks for us, is we believe those are businesses. They're created to make money. And of course, those people are required to file income tax report on that. So I think that was one of the things. Then 910(1)(e) talks about that by the BOCC classifying the STRs as a business for regulatory purposes, the county is not intending to change or alter the meaning of any covenants now in effect. So we weren't trying to supersede any HOA covenants at the time. We just said we're going to consider these as business. The county is not directing or attempting to direct the HOAs and POAs to treat their property owners any different than they would if this section had not been adopted into the zoning resolution. So we weren't trying to imply to HOAs that you should treat these people different. That's really none of our business. That's how the HOAs operate. And I think that was addressed here this morning. So I just wanted to point that out. So you may, if you're interested, and this is available on the website.
Right.
Just to look at that language a little closer, but we do consider them, the Board of County Commissioners at least consider those as businesses, not commercial properties.
So how does that then
So-
jive with this court?
Where was that's my point I was gonna make. We do classify them as a business, and the state recognizes as that, like Tom referenced there, that they are a business, they collect the tax. Where was that case?
Mason County?
So that may be they didn't recognize it that way. I don't know how that could be, but that would be superseded could be in a court case at the state level. But here, if we classify them as a business, that's what they are to us, and you
That was
guys
an
can treat
appellate case in Mesa County.
Yeah. I know.
Well,
So,
hard for us to predict what any court would do.
well, our attorney told us we could take it to court and get it all the way to the state Supreme Court and very likely win. But it would cost $100,000, and that's the Queen of Verde's money. We're not gonna do that.
I think when we were setting these up as well, the discussion of business or not a business was a hotly debated
It sure
topic.
was.
And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, that we do classify them as a business, as does the state, for tax purposes, is the main thing, but that does not. There's basically two ways of coming at that, as classifying something as a business, and where we were coming in as we were classifying them as a business for tax purposes.
Right.
Which is not necessarily the same thing as like if they had a storefront or something like that, so.
And also, Leslie, we talked a little bit about it last night, but it's the way we handle it. These are recognized. You asked who enforces it. Well, who enforces any landowner to take care of their septic systems and all that?
Right,
It's-
and that's a valid point.
And so the burden is on that person that owns it out of state. They have to treat it that way. If not, they will lose. We'll yank that just like that if they're abusing that and not following that. So
So if we complained to
Sure.
you, turn it
into,
worse, then they could possibly.
yes. So that's,
Okay.
If I'm wrong,
Yes,
we review those permits annually. And the resolution talks about, there's language in there that they will evaluate and consider any complaints received on a particular short-term rental before that renewal application is approved. It costs $500 to make applications for the short-term rental and $200 a year to get it renewed.
Okay.
So we will review each of those annually based on their
refuse the
anniversary.
renewal.
and not only that, we actually look at the short-term websites. That's how you find out.
We do that too, to see, because one of them said that's on the Antelope
10
Canyon.
people.
It's the property is, they said hiking just outside the back door. Well, that's not correct. Those renters can't do that.
Say that, and it's up to that homeowner to say, here's the rules and I have to abide by as a resident here. You'd have the same rules. You just can't mess around.
and to your point, not all of your complaints would come to us. If it's an issue, like you say, with where they were shooting and shot
Sheriff.
the house, that's a sheriff's issue. If some of your complaints would actually go to planning and zoning, if
That's
it's
right.
And then
That's where to start.
20 people in a 2-bedroom house,
I said,
that should go to planning and zoning, because that's a septic.
Right to
issue
Jackie Hommy.
and things of that nature. So, and then they have that on file when it comes time for us to review as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. Good clarification. We will review those through the planning and zoning
All
office.
right, so documentation is what we need to have.
Yeah. And then if I may, sir, just one other comment. We are zoned as a county, as Commissioner Kanda mentioned, there's two land use rights, and that is agriculture and residential. Anything outside of those two things as a business goes requires a special use permit. In the counties, we don't have anything to do with the two towns.
Right. Okay.
So I hope that helps.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
Appreciate you being a good citizen.
You're welcome.
Do you have anything else this morning?
No, I don't.
Okay,
Thank you.
Take care.
so, well, and thank you for coming to us. I mean, that's
Thank you for hearing.
how it should work. Okay, any other public comment this morning? Okay. We will move on to staff reports then, and first up is the airport.
All right.
Good morning, sir.
How are you guys?
Well, how are you? You're welcome to have a seat if you like.
Sit down in the hot chair.
So this is the,
We haven't got the straps back yet.
okay, so we'll start with the fuel sales. Slow month, but expected for the weather. Let's see, gallons sold, 186.2.
Very slow.
Brings in a revenue of $929.13. And that leaves us with 4,233.5 gallons in the tank. Let's see. Been a pretty quiet month out there. We do have some news and an update on the tank. It's supposed to be delivered last week of this month. So the new fuel tank. I'll get a call on the 15th for an exact delivery date. And at that point, I guess I'll get with finance and make sure they get the final invoice out and take care of it. Then we'll get the crane, set it, transfer fuel, get the new pump up and running. So probably by, I'd say the end of April, I'll have the new tank online, which is good news. You know, a lot of delays, but COVID.
Very good news.
The electric bill, I tried getting with finance yesterday, but I guess,
We had him booked.
yeah, no one showed up. So anyway, I will continue the research on that, come up with an answer. I can only imagine it's got something to do with the excess heat. Who knows? It's hard to say until we see
The
the
skylights blowing out and the door open.
yeah. So fire truck's back in. Everything's good there. So status quo. That's about it. I mean, you know, for now.
I had a note from Stephanie, the cleaning lady. She says she apologizes for not being there over the storms to clean the airport out. So I'm gonna back it and do some dusting for you and get the mice out of your way.
Okay,
Just to let you know, she's coming.
no problem. Okay. Yeah, again, it's been quiet based on weather and everything. So that's all I have. Oh, plow truck.
Oh, yeah.
The yellow one. I guess they're gonna change oil probably next week or two. They'll have it back at the airport.
They told me they had that pump fixed.
So all quiet on the front.
Good thing.
That's all I got.
Quick comment, if I may. So our mid-month meeting in May is scheduled to be out at the airport.
Okay.
You guys aware of that, or we okay with that? Do we need to change that? I hope not, but I know Lynn was very instrumental in getting that to happen. I'd like to continue if we can, if you guys are willing.
We're ready.
Okay.
We'll make sure the burgers are
What it
ready.
really means is get the grill out.
Yeah, no, bring it on. Send in your menu items.
Yeah, yeah, March 18th is the date, or I'm sorry, May 18th.
May.
Okay, so May.
Yeah.
And that'd be
11 o'clock.
in the middle of the month?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep, middle
Middle of the week.
mid Wednesday. Yep.
gotcha.
So
We'll plan accordingly.
Okay. If we need to do anything to help, let us know.
We got it.
Okay.
Anything else?
I think that'll do it.
Good job, Bob. Thank you.
Well, listen, enjoy you guys' day. And,
Long stretch there.
yeah, no kidding, welcome. Move this chair.
See ya.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
We ahead.
Good.
There he
It's
is.
about right on time now.
We say, Brian,
Hey,
good.
good morning.
Good, real good. Yeah, everything's pretty much normal out there, which is a good thing. Normal at the landfill is good, always a good thing. Nothing serious really as far as equipment being down or anything like that, so that's always a good thing to report. I don't know if you guys pulled up that budget
Got it.
that I don't know if other departments do that, but I wanted to kind of list, what the budget was, what we spent, what the recycling was. And so it basically spells out everything. And it cost us about 52 grand to run the landfill. Well, almost 53 in 2021.
It's good.
And it also has the amounts that we need to transfer from the general fund to recycling, and then also from the general fund to the landfill expansion fund.
Made a few bucks.
Yeah, and I don't know, Braden's not in here. I need to get with him to find out if we do have that recycling fund set up. Or not fund, but account, I guess.
Right, I don't think we do yet, but that's a conversation that probably needs to occur.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, and then he also made the resolution. I don't know if you guys saw that too.
22-07.
Yeah,
Is the recycling fund different than the
well, so
expansion?
yes. And I don't know how we need to go about
Because you want,
setting that up.
they were gonna fence it somehow. I don't know.
So the cubic yards of commercial trash, $1 for every commercial cubic yard goes into expansion.
So does recycling.
And recycling was going into expansion, but now that the grant, we're moving forward with the grant, the recycling money that comes in, we'll have to pay for that employee that we hire.
For now.
Probably in May or early June. And so that money needs to go into an account that we can pay that.
So that's in a resolution?
Yeah, well, that's what Braden drafted. I don't know if you saw that.
No, it was in a resolution that it goes into the expansion fund. And so I imagine you have
We'll have
to
to
change that
undo it.
resolution and create a new fund.
Okay.
Somebody tell me exactly what you want to do. I'm busy unwrapping this.
We did that resolution in 19, I sent it to you guys yesterday or the day before.
We got it.
That put the dollar per cubic yard raise in the commercial and the
Recycle.
recycling into the landfill expansion fund.
You sent that out yesterday?
I didn't send it to you because we already did it.
You got it.
It was
You did it.
approved back in 19. But now he's saying that the recycling needs to go into a different fund and not, so
So they can pay the
Right.
labor on it.
Is it something that requires my special expertise? Or can-
No, do we need to change the resolution
yeah,
that,
there's a resolution
Yeah,
saying
sure.
that the recycling funds go into the expansion fund. So
Yeah.
I suppose we need a new resolution
And I
or
just
something.
forwarded that to you that Kelly sent yesterday.
Okay. All right.
it needs to go back in a general fund and reclassified by Braden as something else so that they can draw money on it.
Right.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be right away. It can be, next month or whatever, but.
And so I think that was where the confusion was with that resolution that Braden did. And I'm no attorney, but
Right.
if the resolution was in place for the funds last year,
Right.
don't those funds from last year still go into?
You still go into the
expansion?
expansion.
And I think
Which is fine.
Yeah.
For now, until.
That's where the confusion
Okay.
with Braden is.
So moving
Yeah.
forward, yeah, right. So moving forward for this 2021, so the last resolution was everything went into the expansion fund, right? Which is fine. We can leave all that there. And moving forward, all the recyclables will have to go into this.
Recycling.
Yeah.
And stop.
So there could be two resolutions.
Now
There
you're-
has to be.
Or now I know what Braden's talking about.
Right.
He didn't have a clue what I was talking about. I didn't have a clue what he was talking about, and so we were confused.
Okay. So yeah, so whatever's in the expansion fund stays there, and then the commercial yards will add to that, and then the recycling will be a different. So maybe two resolutions. I don't know how.
One to turn that off onto the recycle, and the other one is to turn on a new one for your labor.
Right, exactly.
In reading this one that Kelly sent, I believe what we should probably do on that would be to strike under the,
That one for recycling.
under be it resolved, number 5 says the recurring revenue stream for said account shall be the total deposits generated by landfill recycling sales annually. I think that's the only one that speaks to that.
It's easy to fit.
And that was what I was gonna
Okay.
bring up, say we're on the same track. You know, that fly in the ointment here is that number 5. And I think it's probably the plan to revisit that in essence and say, okay, the cubic yards can go into that expansion fund, maybe some other recycling such as the metal. But I think with this recycling initiative now, cardboard and all that stuff's gonna have to go into a separate. That grant was written to pay for a full-time position for a year. That committee decided to approach that with 2 half-time positions.
Correct.
Really hasn't occurred yet because of the timing. But once that grant expires, then the intent was for that recycling entity to be self-sustaining. And to do that, they're gonna have to have those revenues.
Got to
So,
pay for it.
I don't know if we, when it comes down to it, if we go back and address it in this resolution, or if the new resolution is gonna supersede this one. I don't know how that goes legally, but.
That's why he gets.
Why he gets time to, and the candy.
That's my understanding of it anyway, and I think you're exactly right. Chairman, it's that number 5. The rest of the language seems to be okay. It says 6 says other revenue streams for the said account. Well, would that mean cardboard, steel cans shall be established as the Board of County Commissioners deem appropriate? So there is some language in there that we could make some
Turn on
decisions
some
about that.
different things.
Sure. Yeah.
And we haven't seen the resolution that he's working on, correct, Braden?
It's on
He had a
the
rough
landfill report.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what he did back on, what date was that?
Scroll down.
February 6th.
a little
you gotta
confused
scroll
about
down far.
Yeah.
He
That can be
had it, but he had it going to the recycling fund, and I told, that's where the confusion came.
Right.
Because I told him, no, that goes to the landfill expansion.
That's right.
Right.
So
So yeah, we should be all on the same page now.
Yeah.
You know,
You got a lot of time to work it. Clint, you can.
Yeah.
You can keep.
Right. um,
I didn't scroll down.
I think we're probably gonna try to get somebody, another part-time person in either May or early June. The bailiff won't be here till the end of June. So, I mean,
Quite a ways out.
yeah. So we got time.
So we can do with the building.
Yeah. Hopefully, we might get it foamed. I don't know. We'll see. We're working on some more.
You gotta get the power over to it.
Gotta get the
so they
power
Put
to
the lift or the
Yeah.
motors in.
So, Joni talked to Sangre or left him a message. I'm not sure. And so, of course, that's next step. And then the electrician too. Well, he can do whatever he needs to do.
So can you back up and address a little more clearly? Because when you first said it to me out of the landfill, I thought you said phone.
Oh, no.
Telephone. So
No,
can you
phone.
share with us what's going on there?
Yeah, so Joni Liebman, she was approached with some donations, and I don't know the total, to try to get the building foamed. Insulation.
Insulated.
Mhm. And so I got a bid, or I'm getting a bid. We're getting 2 bids, just so they have two
She give
numbers.
you an amount or did you?
No, I don't know that.
See if she can find whatever.
Right, I don't know that amount. So once we get 2 bids and then find out what that donation is, like I said, I don't know, but I can get you guys that information once I get it.
Yeah, I think that's probably really the second best piece of news we've had other than receiving the grant.
Yeah.
I mean, we could be looking at 30 grand to foam insulate that
Easily.
building.
Right.
And it's gonna make
Probably more.
such a huge difference.
Yes,
So that just is amazing that somebody is
right.
considering stepping up and paying for that. Because there was no money in the grant for insulation.
No,
Or heat.
well, initially we did, but then the cost
Got
of the building,
absorbed.
yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, just huge.
So speaking of Joni and the grant, and I guess I should have asked Dorothy, there was some verbiage in the report that went in the other day, I think, that needed to be removed or something.
I think it was clarified and we're meeting on Thursday
Okay,
to go through that.
all right.
Okay, you're meeting with Joni?
Working the
Me and
grant.
Sonia,
Oh, and Sonia? Oh, great. Oh, when is that?
Thursday at, let me look real quick.
While she's doing that, I think we also have a committee
I
meeting.
believe it's 3:00. but let
3 o'clock? Okay. Well, I'll talk to Joni. Maybe I can get involved in that too.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, Thursday at 3.
Okay, all right, I'll write that down.
And you got the email string about the meeting.
I did, Friday.
Did they pick a time? I haven't looked.
I haven't looked either. Yeah,
That's a committee meeting for,
For the recycle grant.
okay.
They're also purchasing storage container. You want to speak to that a little?
oh, yeah, correct. So in the grant, Joni, with the grant money, purchased a 40-foot storage container. Basically, the idea of this container is to store the paper bales. When we make a paper bale, to put those in that container until we have enough to ship them.
Right.
Yeah, to keep them dry. Cardboard's not such a big deal at the moment because the mill that we send the cardboard to takes what they call as dirty cardboard. And so it doesn't have to be stored inside currently. Yeah. So,
Well, we make sure it gets wet.
but the paper, yeah, well,
Get the weight up.
the way they do deduct us. at the
If it gets
mill.
too bad, they,
Yeah, right.
then you really.
Right, so,
And I wouldn't guess we'll generate near as many paper bales.
oh, no.
As we would cardboard.
And we won't know until we start, you
I
know.
wonder if there's an opportunity to store both in there. I know it'd be a little more moving around, but
Sure.
if the cost benefit would be significant on clean cardboard versus dirty,
Right,
until we really needed it strictly for paper, maybe we could store some cardboard. Now, I don't know.
right. So yeah, other than that, I am this year, well, I'm trying to get all the engineers. It's been difficult to get either them on the phone and or email. Come to find out, he's been out of the office for the last week. Find out when they're gonna get the expansion to the state, what date they exactly, they have. And then once the state comes back and says we're good to go, who knows when that'll be. Hopefully this fall, because we're running out of room.
Thought they were trying to do it in the spring.
First quarter is what they projected last December. And so I'm trying to find out what date that is. I mean, that's 3 months.
Engineer from
Golder, Jeff Rush, yeah,
and then the state has to make a decision within 180
180 days,
So June 30th
June 30th. Right,
plus 100.
So back in March.
yeah,
And the bad news about all that is
we're filling up. Not necessarily bad news because we can go up on trench E. And luckily it'll be spring and summertime, so the wind won't be as bad to put a 2-foot lift on top, but. So hopefully by next month, I'll have more news as far as that goes. And also, once the expansion does take place, we're gonna have to start talking about a new compactor. Just to get that kind of floating around too.
well,
Get more cardboard.
Yeah, right. So And I am gonna do some more research about a compactor to try to give you guys more of an idea of options. You know, so.
And you say that because you think the life cycle of the current compactor is about there?
I do.
Or we're just gonna need more than one.
I think the compactor that we have, you know, moving forward, I don't think it's gonna be efficient enough with the teeth that are on there to get the compaction that we need to, you know, save space.
Yeah.
Initially, you know. That
That
training,
doesn't have a vibrator on it.
no, the training that I went to when I wasn't here for the last meeting, manager of landfill operations, you know, you need a minimum of 4 inches of teeth, you know, to compact the trash, to get your, you know, your
Makes sense.
compaction. And we're right at 4 right now, without capping those.
What are they new?
A compactor?
And no, the teeth length.
Oh, they could be probably, I'm guessing either 8 to 6, probably. I don't know about the current, I don't know what the current.
I wonder if they
have.
weld the pieces onto it anywhere to make.
So they
Stand.
hard face the teeth that are on there right now. They did that probably, I think, 18 maybe, you know.
So they probably gained an inch or 2.
Yeah, right. And so that machine's also, it's almost 21 years old, you know, and so the motor mounts are always breaking. We got to replace the motor mounts. It seems like on a monthly basis, which is
Any
ridiculous.
idea about the cost of the new machine?
Oh, not really. Probably up to anywhere from 800 to, you know, 900.
So 300 is not gonna get it.
No. However, there are options. I was talking to Summit County, the landfill director of Summit County, and he said there are compactors, one brand that's called BOMAG, that you can get for, they have about 10,000 hours. You can get them for about, he said, 170,000.
Wow.
So they're
Used or something?
used. Mhm.
So maybe CDPHE grant
Yeah.
could look at the possibility of that.
So there are different options, you know, whether what we want to do moving forward is kind of what we're gonna have to decide. But until the expansion's approved, we don't really need to,
Right.
well, we need to have the conversation, but we don't, I mean, we don't need a compactor until the
Well,
expansion.
that's right. And then you're looking at what you're making on the landfill, 50,000. I mean, that's 3 years payments.
Well, right.
And once you've got it going, and so you can redirect some money later.
You know, we need to get Joni to buy into the landfill side and do
Yeah.
on another. Our RPO, she did great on that recycle. I'm not-
And there are probably options to do that. I mean, that's something that we need to look into as well, but. So anyway, that's kind of landfill.
So are we wanting to look over both these resolutions before we take any action on them?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we need to get Clint, have him an opportunity to review those and get Braden in here and get some direction. But
you got the schedule on it, just
Yeah,
work, you know who the crew is, Clint and Brady.
yeah, like I said, it doesn't have to be tomorrow,
Right.
it could be the next commissioner meeting or whenever you guys, want to.
Whenever you're ready.
On the surface, then the big picture look, I'm asking if you agree with this assessment. We would probably maintain the $ per cubic yard commercial going to the expansion and
Yes,
the metal recycling from your side, not steel cans, aluminum cans, paper, card.
that metal and aluminum, that number was from Dionisio. That I hauled either the aluminum and the Dionisio comes to get some metal, but I don't have a problem putting that in the recycling.
Oh, okay. My question then would be, based on that comment, we still need to have a revenue stream into that expansion. I
Right,
don't know how much money we're talking about between steel and aluminum, but I'd like to earmark maybe those 3 things for that expansion. We're gonna have some money to put that well in.
right. And if the metal that comes from Dionisio and the aluminum, if that wants to go into the expansion, I'm okay with that as well.
You guys have a feel for that, or?
It's the way to do it.
I think so, and then let the recycling live on cardboard, paper.
Let it live on the building
and
itself,
aluminum.
basically.
Pardon? Yeah, whatever goes into that building,
Right.
to me, would be the recycling initiative, and then we earmark those.
Buck a
other
bag
things.
plus the other recycling goes into.
So then this number needs to be adjusted. Which I can do. Well, it's basically, it's
That's the number from
95.
last.
That's last year. That's just a report.
right.
So what you're doing, this will be different next year because it's going to have a different pot. And
Right.
It's going to be less on.
So we can keep this and then next year we can do the aluminum and metal. Okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this year, 10,000 roughly was steel and aluminum, metal and
Right.
aluminum from your side,
Right.
plus the $1 per cubic yard. I thought that was like
Uh,
70 grand or something. I don't remember.
yeah, I don't,
And then leave, like you say, whatever goes into that metal building, then we establish a budget account to receive those dollars. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And I think that's what we have a conversation with Blaine about.
okay. Perfect. Yeah, that's all I got. Unless you guys have any,
Nope.
Good. Thank you.
one Lockhart to another, huh?
Tag.
That's what
Oh, I
it's.
forgot to give him props for getting me some radios.
Oh, nice.
Little conversation out in the hall, didn't we, Adrian?
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Good.
Hey, guys.
Thanks for coming in.
Yep, appreciate you later.
See you next trip.
Oh, yeah.
Want to get with you to help me get that cardboard out.
I've got to keep scrolling
Got a bunch.
down.
Boxes that need to be tore down too, so I don't know, maybe
Budget, I was
sometime.
expecting a resolution to
Tomorrow?
be attached
No.
to it.
Yeah, it was right there on the bottom.
Let's go next week. I'm done booked this week, so we'll
And it's
figure it out
dated.
next week. Okay?
That's the last one.
Are we interrupting?
Yes, you are, but okay. So, it's okay. You gotta get this stuff worked out.
That's right.
Because I never see them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that we could accomplish.
Well, you should.
I know. it's just so I'm
Leave him
like, you
alone.
know, I'm just like, hey, I know you're here.
Leave him alone.
Let me discuss, you come in there and help me get that cardboard because it's really starting to overrun out there. So,
Oh, good. That's a good thing.
yeah, and it's better than throwing those boxes in the dumpsters but he helps me break them down, which is good.
I'm gonna look, did we get a bigger dumpster out here?
It has not shown up yet.
No.
I visited with Kelly yesterday about that. If it does not show up Thursday, I'm going to, when they come to do their trash run. We did not get our extra dump the other day either. So I will give them a call back.
When you
Last
promised
time
to
I
bring it.
visited with them, they were welding on it,
Oh,
but that was better than a week ago.
That's not P-Bill.
No.
No, it's- Yeah, because they didn't do that dump either and it was just overflowing and I'm like, I thought they were supposed to come and do that dump, but they didn't, but whatever.
They were.
Yep. Okay. First thing I want to do is have you guys sign the legal contract that I have with our attorney. We had it and then I didn't meet with you guys in January and then I was sick last month, so I wasn't here. So we're finally getting around to getting this thing signed. It's ridiculous.
So he's been pro bono for,
No, actually, no.
Coming out of your paycheck? or
Yeah, that's it.
It's
not a hurt
Yeah.
candy jar.
That is, yeah, actually, we haven't had to use him too much, so we like that, you know, but
That
anyhow.
adoption thing was not.
Yeah, but that adoption was handled by another attorney.
Oh.
We have one that we use for adoptions.
Right.
And that fund, those monies come out of another part of money, a pot of money that we had a long time ago. And so we are supposed to use it for stuff like that. So it sits over here by itself, no county dollars or anything else. And so that's what we use for that. Yeah, and it was,
Pretty good jack, like going at 7 grand.
no, it was 40,
Oh, yeah.
4,800, yeah, but not bad for six
Oh, yeah, see, we didn't know how many it was, so.
six adoptions. So, yeah, so no, it was a good deal. So anyhow, so I need to have this signed by the chairman here. And then there, on the second page, Kevin.
we probably have to go.
I'm thinking that.
You notice I didn't grab my pen.
Yeah, and then each one of you need to sign this too.
So you can just bring documents in here and we just sign.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I should have scanned those to you. What was I thinking? Well, I wasn't. I'm just saying.
Dorothy was terribly disappointed that you didn't have send in all your documentation.
She did not know that.
She was also.
She knew that I
she
sent
knew
that.
She needs to flog you.
Well, yeah,
And
well,
we said, if we don't get it, we're gonna make it come back next week.
yeah, well, yeah, I should have sent that. I wasn't even thinking about it.
Yeah.
I've had this contract for so long, all of a sudden I thought, oh God, I need to get this thing signed too. Yeah, we've been a little,
We talked about that about 2 months ago, didn't we?
oh, yeah, because, yeah, and then I didn't meet with him and then I got sick and I wasn't here last time.
Sure,
And
you did get sick.
now I had COVID again, you know,
You're just a regular
once every year, you know,
germ
I'm hoping just once every year.
catcher. COVID catcher is what you are.
That's what I am.
Say something smart after, but,
No,
okay, gosh dang it.
you wanna,
When you said every year.
Started there.
yeah, well, I'm not yet. See, I got it in January, so this year, so I could get it 2 or 3 more times in this year, but we're hoping not. At least I am anyhow.
For vacation.
I saw.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
An exclusion note in there that you do not use that attorney for child support programs. You use a different.
No, we use, well, oh, that's because that's the child welfare and here's the child support. And
I'm
now,
just mentioning that.
Yes.
Said in there, they're not going to. do
Yes.
child.
and see, this goes with that. This is the child support part of it and that's
So
child
you're gonna
welfare.
fill in a date later.
Yeah, yeah, I can do that.
And Clint has to sign this.
No, I've never had.
Why is this thing on there?
No,
And just as Custer County Attorney, I don't approved, see, to me, I don't know, because to me,
Does that mean
he's the attorney.
approving Dan to do it?
Yeah, well, I think
I
he's,
thought Dan would sign that.
Well, he
Yeah.
signed it already.
yeah, he
The
signed
below
it up here,
says-
law
Then it
firm,
says as something,
and then approved his appointment of special county attorney. Oh, is special county
Yeah.
attorney, so Dan's supposed to sign that again, I think. That's how I read that. But I can ask Clint.
well, you can ask Clint or you can ask Dan.
We can ask an attorney, right?
Ask an attorney.
I'm not sure. if
He
we should
gives- he gives
let-
answers.
Yes, you're right about that.
I'm not sure if we should let Clint look at this one.
Oh, yeah,
No,
no,
It's got rates on it.
yeah.
See if you get the same information.
Let's redact the dollar amounts before he looks at it.
So it's a simple contract.
You want more money doing it on the spot.
it's just a simple thing. I don't-
Dan signed it.
Well, no rules here.
No, I know, but that's just weird the way it says that, I
Oh,
think.
yeah, oh, that, yeah.
Yeah, oh, no, not that,
It
no,
looks
but
to me,
that.
and I think Commissioner Canada is correct, it looks like it is asking for our attorney to appoint him, to approve the appointment as a special attorney. What it looks like.
Okay,
You know, I hate to bring this up, but he still owes us money for the landfill.
So do
Dan,
we garnish his wages?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Let's take it out of here.
I think he owes money.
why would Dan owe you money from the landfill?
Well,
It's-
he was the representative on a lawsuit.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
He doesn't personally, but his firm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. We won't go there with this.
Probably not.
Yeah, I kind of just dropped it.
Did he sign it?
yeah, okay.
Okay.
Not yet.
I've signed it. Voted on it, yeah.
He had to sign before we do.
No, actually, we have to vote on it, I think, but,
No, we have to do it,
okay.
so you can sign it.
So agreement for legal We had a short recess while dealing with some technical issues. We are back in session. The time is 10:05. Still have Laura here with us. I have another agreement in my hand here, and it is for, I'm going to looking for the verbiage here.
I think it's, is it there?
It's CSE.
Is it
Top page there.
top page there?
Okay, child support enforcement purchase of legal services agreement. And this is the one for the,
Child support
for the child support. Okay,
with Dan Slater.
Child support services.
Us.
child enforcement, child support enforcement. Contract for legal services.
I would move that we approve and sign child support enforcement contract. Later.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the child support enforcement agreement. Any discussion on that? Of signing the agreement, the CSE agreement, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And this one will require
Every member.
all three signatures.
Wonder why that is.
I don't know
We're
either.
not here to-
I think so too. And I don't know if it's,
We either agree or we don't.
I thought it was on me, but
I think the whole human services is weird, so it's just me.
I agree.
One of us disagreed, but no on the contract.
We have to, for our Medicaid transportation, where we, people go to the doctor and Medicaid pays, and then we can reimburse them some money for travel. We have to do a revalidation every 5 years. So this is the first time. It's been up 5 years, and so we're doing the revalidation. And it's just a nightmare. We can't even figure out what the heck.
Yeah.
Got all these, you got to get this code, and you got to get this thing, and it's like,
Crazy thing.
and I don't think, since it's in revalidation, I don't think they know what they're doing with it either. So, yeah,
Will you give me copies of those?
I will. We talked about that 3 months ago, but I'll get it now. Now that we actually got this done. Jeez.
Okay, where's the rest of this? Is it all
It's all
top there somewhere?
I think it's, the stuff's behind it.
Oh, he
Yeah,
restacked it?
yeah, thanks. Yep, it's here. I'll get it in the right order
All right.
later. Okay, and then I just have my, when I did with my paperclip, I'm gonna use that one,
We
okay?
have a couple for you.
Yeah, so this is just reports like on the food benefits. And we started in January. We're still doing full benefits for everybody because of COVID. And they approved it for another 90 days in January. So I'm not sure when that's ever going to go off, but it's still there. But yeah, we serve, quite a few households, 263. So, but yeah, it's just a high dollar because it's full benefits for everybody. So, and then I added a new one here, Colorado Works, just so you can see how many payments we have on that and the monthly expenditures. I had that on a different report, and then things changed, and especially with the new bookkeeping system that we have. So I just did this so you can just track it that way. And they work on that a little bit, but I didn't have a chance. But yeah, it's also called temporary assistance for needy families. And it's just a grant that we have if their income is below a certain level.
Change the name.
Well, they also call it Colorado Works, but I think that I'm gonna fix that and put TANF up there. I'll spell that out. Yeah, I think I'll change that. They call it Colorado Works because we also work with these people that we have on to get them off, like help them if they need, like they need to go to work someplace and they don't have, like they need steel-toed boots and they can't afford them. We can help them with that. We can provide that.
Transportation, it's just
Transportation, yeah, we have done that. If somebody,
taking to work.
well, not that, but if they need, you know, let's say they have to go down to work down on Copper Gulch or something, and they're low on gas, we can give them some gas money for that. We just put it on their card and then they use it to fill their tank. So we can do stuff like that. And it's, I get an allocation and the county only has to pay, I think it's 2,000 and some dollars out of that, and the rest of it, it's an allocation. So the county doesn't put much money into that at all. And I have the old age pension, and that's all state funded money. And I just put that out there to show you how many people or households we have on, because we spend a lot of time on all of these programs, approving and recertify them. And so,
Do you with the old age pension in your office?
oh, me and Rhonda, yeah, because it's just a eligibility program. And so we do that. Aid to the needy disabled, it's the same thing. You have to be working on, you have to apply for Social Security and SSI. It's mandatory, and some people are disabled and they're waiting to hear back from Social Security if they're going to meet the criteria. So we put them on, and we don't have very many people on that. It's a very, very low payment. It's $217 a month. So it's not, no. And then our leave. And if you look at November and December down there of 2021, because that's when our first payment come out. So those are big. And now in these months, January, they're slowing down. But in February, you're going to see a huge one, because we also do a second payment from anybody that applied in November and December and January. So that'll show up more next month. But that's 100% funded. And we have had a lot of people apply for that this year because the cost of propane.
My tank is awful low, I'm 20-some%.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't suppose.
no. It's an income guideline. I'm just saying, okay?
Quick question on this in general. So you show us the expenditures of these programs. I'm assuming your revenues are dollar for dollar.
Yeah, this is 100%.
Reimbursed.
Yep. And actually, we don't do anything with the money. It doesn't, I mean, it just paid out, and we don't take it in and pay it out. It's put on, it's all transferred, and we don't have anything to do with it.
You just track it.
We just track it because we need to know how many households and the amounts. Energy Outreach Colorado, that's 100% grant. There again, no county dollars. It doesn't come in. I put it into the computer and it generates the payments. And luckily, or unluckily, they're changing that system. So I got to do a training on that tomorrow. But anyhow, I asked for 10,000. They gave us 5. And then they had another program that they started, and you could apply for, where if it was somebody that was renting, they could apply for that. I put in for that and was told, we've already used all the money. You can't have any. Thank you so much. So we are getting very, very low on our funds in here because because of the cold, and even with LEAP, people are not able to pay with LEAP. So I've been using that. So yes, I wish they'd give me more money, but hey. Community Service Block Grant. And if you look at this, it's really weird because I'm just showing you last year, because they still don't know what they're doing. And because the gal that did this had COVID and she passed away, and they're still trying to figure out what's here and what's there. The gal from there called me and said, "You're going to have to send me your report." And I said, she usually sent me the report to fill out. I don't have the report. And she goes, "Oh, I'll see what I can find." I haven't heard back from her. So I don't know. I have a little bit of money left, and I don't know if they're carrying it over. I'm not sure. And when I ask her, she doesn't know. So it's just odd. But there's no county dollars into it. It's a grant. And then the Medicaid transportation is a pass-through. And this is the one where we're trying to get revalidated. But that just shows you, and there again, there's no county dollars. It just shows the number of payments. Because we spend a lot of time on this, because we have to fill out a form, people call, we give them a form, fill out a form, they take it to the doctor, they had it signed, they come back, then we have to figure out the payment. Then we actually pay them and then we can send it in for reimbursement. We spend a lot of time on this program. So it shows the number of monthly payments that we do every month, and it, you know, fluctuates. But that's what that one is.
That's 11 different accounts.
That's 11 different households that we've done. Yes. And then this is TFAB, and this just shows how many households we had in January. This month, the day that we were set to do it, it snowed. And snowed. So, and we were on a 2-hour delay. And I came in and I did have 2 people show up that day. And then we tried to put it out there on Facebook and stuff to let them know what we were going to do it on Friday. We had a few people, 2 or 3 people come on Friday. So I still have food from last month, but I'll be getting more. We had big problem with the door out there, one of those doors. It's got those 2 doors. And I went to open the door and I couldn't get the door open. And I'm thinking, what the heck's going on? And I kept messing with it. And finally got the door open. And then I had trouble getting it shut. And I was looking at it and the hinges. The only one that was still connected to the door frame was the middle one. All the screws had pulled out. And I'm trying to close it. And the guy had delivered the commodities. And he's going, what the heck? And I said, I don't know. And we looked and he goes, take the screws out and then maybe we can get the door closed. So we did. And then I got a hold of Dave and he came in the next day and he goes, and the screws were probably about this long. Yeah, and so Dave said, I'm going to go get some bigger screws. And he went and got screws and we've got the door fixed now. But it's bad because those doors face south. And if we have the door open, like when we're issuing commodities or he's bringing stuff in, that wind will come up and just takes that door. You know, if I have pallets out there, sometimes I can lean a pallet against it or something. I need like a cinder block or something that's fairly high to put against that door so that that wind can't
You have
catch it.
something clear back against the wall.
Yeah.
What if we put a hook on the wall and a bungee cord to?
Oh,
the door
something.
While you're using.
Yeah, something in both sides too, because sometimes we have both doors, that wind just comes up and it just takes
That way
them.
you could secure it
Yeah,
and just bungee an eye hook on the wall.
Yeah. something like that, because that, and if that wind's whipping, like, I know we don't have wind, I don't know why that would be a problem for us.
Very
But
seldom.
very seldom does that happen, but yeah, so you're trying to keep the door open while they're coming through and that wind just comes and it takes it, and I'm sure that's one reason that pulls that out of there.
The house we're dealing with, Gavin's dad's house in Canyon, he had those on the doors, just quick little bungee and you
Yeah.
can take it over. and
Yeah.
slap it on, and so
Would
you,
a roll-up door be more appropriate for that situation?
Probably, but I don't know how much that would cost to put that in.
Is it 6 foot? Is it 2 double doors?
Well, they're two, and I have to have them both open when he brings those pallets
Right.
in, and so, you know, and then
So,
right now we're doing commodities where we're still taking the boxes out to the cars, but before we had to have them open so that people could stand in there and get the boxes, so.
Never get stacked to the ceiling in the middle?
What?
Boxes, whatever you put in there. How pallets? Are they all on the shelves? I've seen the shelves.
Oh, well, they bring the pallets in
Yeah.
and then we take the
Set 'em on.
stuff off of the pallets and put them on the shelves.
They jack it back out.
Yeah, he just comes in with the pallet and then he just drops it on the floor and then takes the machine, backs it up and takes off. And then,
Okay, so you just keeping it off the pallet.
yeah, and then we take it off the pallet and put it on the shelves. And then we take those lovely pallets, those wood pallets, and we drag them outside and put them up at the side of the building. And they used to take those and now they won't take them. So now I have some of them stacked. So if anybody needs wood pallets, they're just stacked on the.
Butch will take them. He loves them.
You can have them, I don't care.
maybe a couple of concrete stops with some door hooks on them so they can swing the doors open and they'll stop. Last people.
Yeah, you might have to guys look at that and see what you think is the best thing, but I really think that that's one reason that that door pulled out like that, because that wind constantly is taking those
It's
doors.
a wooden frame, not metal.
It's wooden. Yep, it's wooden, and it just pulled right out, but the bigger screws
Your screws will help.
are helping. But, we put them back in the same holes, but they're bigger screws, so they went in farther and they're bigger. But I just thought I'd mention that because, it does take that wind to catch those doors and just, so. Okay, I think that's all I have at this time, unless you have anything for me.
I got with you checking on possibly storing some.
Oh, yes. What did you find out about that?
There will be adequate room across the garage.
Oh, okay. So,
Don't worry about that.
okay, perfect. Okay, sounds good.
What
All right.
can you do for us, or if there's a one-way deal?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not ever gonna do anything for you, no.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
As long as you got a roof over your head.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Carpet.
Yeah, the new carpet, yes, the new carpet. Yeah, when we're talking with all this mud and stuff, that maybe we would like to get a little rug when you first come in.
Bigger
Because
rugs in the
we're,
entryway.
because we're tracking that, even though we get it off our shoes and coming in, we're tracking it across there and then we're bringing it onto that new carpet. And we thought if we had just a little rug in the entry, we should
Out
come.
in the reception
Yeah, in the
area.
reception area, just that would help for us going into the office.
Well,
'Cause-
do we contract with the company on these? I know we dealt with them once before getting them replaced, but
On those rugs.
Yeah.
We just buy
buy
them.
them.
So,
There you go.
so who would I speak to about the rug? Who's in charge of that?
Well, she would
Yeah,
order them. That's what, the last time I ordered them,
Mhm.
you guys didn't have a person. I just ordered them.
we ordered a new one down here. I suppose just
So probably.
Amazon or something.
Yeah, that's what
Uline or
I've done.
something like that.
If you can find what you want, get with Dorothy maybe. and-
Okay,
That'd be
Okay.
good.
and it's not gonna be huge because it's a small area we're talking about, but we were talking about that all
Go
the
down to
time.
Ace Hardware and buy them.
Well,
They got some pretty good ones.
we could look. I mean, I don't mind looking.
I bring the receipt in.
Yeah, we can look and see if they have what we want, something that'll work. But we just thought it would save the carpet, and stuff. So, yeah. Okay, sounds good. We'll do it. We'll check into it. All right. Thanks, guys.
You betcha.
Oh,
Good morning.
Burns up.
Good morning. Thank you.
Not without its trials and tribulations.
Not at all. I was wondering if we could keep it short. I don't have a lot to report and we do have an incident going on that I need to address. I don't have a lot to report. Like I said, just normal operations. I wanted to ask, the printer down at the Wetmore Library has gone out again. I've been replacing those with hand-me-downs for the last couple of years. I was wondering if I could use some community outreach funds and buy a brand new printer for the Wetmore Library.
Community outreach.
Probably be, don't we have there's no IT extra fund that you've got? I thought.
Well, that's what we've used before for their last computer upgrade.
Oh,
So that's why I was thinking that fund.
Have you had a conversation with them about it?
I just found out that the printer had gone bad yesterday.
I brought it to him.
So I wondered about their conservation trust fund dollars. But I'm not sure that'd be eligible, actually.
I don't know the answer to that. We've never used that before.
well, what do we use when Kelly's computer goes out?
Generally, they
Kelly's budget.
yeah, they- if
How
it's
much money?
about 350.
Oh. I thought
It's not a lot.
more than that.
No, I'm not buying a Xerox machine.
It's
It's a printer.
almost a home.
It's actually
Is it
just like
is it
that.
an
one right there.
inkjet or a laser?
It's just like that one right there.
I'm
So it's inkjet, yeah. Okay.
not sure what our running total is on that, but I know we have enough to cover that.
Like seven.
I would move we authorize Vernon to acquire a printer for the Wetmore Community Library and pay for it out of community outreach.
We'll see.
Okay. I have a motion then to authorize Vernon to purchase a printer for the Wetmore Community Library out of community outreach. Trying to remember everything he had. Any discussion?
Let's not make a habit out of spending our community outreach money. but-
No, sir, not unless you want a new computer. No.
What my art-
And the computer is out.
Okay. Those in favor of authorizing that purchase signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Feel free to do so.
Okay, I will do it.
Everything else going okay?
Everything's busy. Busy. Jordan was out for a little while and so it's been double duty for a little bit, but we're getting there. New websites coming along nicely too.
We can hardly wait.
Well,
You have a date?
me too. No,
Later.
we've sent it out to all of the elected officials. Now we'll send them out to all of the department heads, see if there's any suggestions or changes requested. And then we'll bring it to you probably next month.
You've been taking everybody's complaint and working them into the mix.
You know, we designed it and it was better than the last one. And so this time we're changing the format completely to kind of mirror other government websites.
And you've got to sort of work the same on a cell phone. That was the other issue.
That is always.
That was the weirdest thing
always
I've
an
ever
issue.
seen.
That is always an issue. Between an iPad, a cell phone, an iPhone, and a computer. It's
Most
always.
people
we're
trying
trying
their
to
cell
work that.
phone, and those are the biggest complaints we get.
That is not necessarily the website's fault.
That-
Yeah, it is. This one was. Because it just, I don't know why, it's the way the cell phones are operating systems formatted and it won't show some things that.
And that's my point. It's not
Oh, that's
necessarily the
true, you're
website's
right.
fault. It's the
Well,
device.
We're working to make certain that it's more mobile friendly. It's tough. I mean, there's a reason why people make many thousands and thousands of
you know,
dollars.
that's a
to do
good
website
point.
work.
That's why you see apps for same thing you could get off of a website, because it says it'll work better if you use your app
Right. Yes, sir. Because they can tailor those apps.
That's
because
right.
That's the only thing.
on that
work on.
operating system, whether it's an iPhone or Android or whatever.
I'm not ready to go to an app for the county website. But you want to
Get your Colorado.
beef up my budget. So how's that community outreach budget? work?
Yeah. Five grand.
I was gonna ask you,
Mhm.
how we paying for this
Paying for the,
update on the website?
so per our discussion last time, we're doing pictures through a private company but all of the rest is in-house.
They're doing it.
The money,
The money is all in-house.
so coming out of your budget.
Yes, sir.
Mm.
ARPA,
Speaking of money, there he is walking in.
ARPA
I have an application into them
for this.
for this. Yep. And
Yes,
some other
we did that
things.
the last time.
What's that?
Didn't we talk about that the last?
Yes, sir. I have the application in. I'm
Good.
hoping to go in front of them when they start their hearings.
Good.
So our little glitch here, is that
It's-
building wide or
It's
county wide?
it's systemic, so it's probably widespread.
Okay.
It's both these fiber and the DSL lines. So the last time that happened was this weekend.
That was a big one.
Yes, it was. So I need to investigate. We have some workarounds. We do have the Starlink system now, but it's not user friendly for a network application. It's user friendly for the individual at home. That's great, but for the
Really?
network application, not fun.
Can't make a hotspot out of that.
So we're working on it.
Very good, sir. Thank you.
We'll let you run.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, we have
I gotta ask you
10,000
something.
on community outreach. We spent roughly 2,000 on a scholarship. And that's the only thing I'm aware of that. Is
Yeah. We just want to see if we have line of sight to do this hour.
Oh, you're working on it.
Yeah, we got a lot.
You are up, sir.
I just wanted to.
I see this young lady here, so I didn't.
Oh, no. I'm-
She's later down on the.
Nope.
Oh, it's gone. It's all
All
gone.
gone.
He caught you.
I had a tip from.
Oh, yeah. Right, right, but you cannot trust the lawyer.
Right in the mouth right away.
Snitch is always good. I guess. I just picked up his hat.
Did his eyes light up?
They did. They did.
Tears that were flowing down my cheek first.
Oh, thank you, yes.
Is this a
I thought-
coupon to Butch's firewood sale?
You got me.
Yes. Oh, I've got one left, Kelly, but I've got more to.
I'm gonna say, you better have a whole box full of it. I saw the other day.
I gave off plenty of them.
Good, you got to see it on there.
You feel like you should go up towards the front of the.
Well, I think it should, because,
No, I won't, but.
things are flying all over the country right now, so
Under W for Washington.
you guys might want to, in a panic of the night, call your OEM, and now you know exactly where it needs to be.
You're on my speed dial.
Okay. Well, it's kind of odd, is we did some contingency planning for this thing that's going on in Ukraine, and that's one of those scenarios that we have not really planned for. Something that we might want to consider looking at, when the Shiite hits the fan, what are we going to do? So it's
Well, I
just,
hope we just live our normal life in Custer County. That's what I hope.
well, when I was down there in Denver and all this was going on, it's like, this is not
Yeah.
the place that I want to be.
Don't want to be in Denver either.
No. I mean, it takes enough time driving normally. I might not make it driving fast. But you have my staff report for February. I tried to condense it a little bit in this talk about the main things. So we want to talk about the variable messaging sign. I have the new application, and Clint did look it over, and it's ready for me to sign this minor changes. And then I put into the computer system.
Same spots, they're not.
Same spots, so nothing really
We
changed.
don't have to sign that.
No, you don't have to sign that. And so I just wanted to make you,
Read your email. I thought you were wanting us to sign it.
yeah, so I made you aware of that. And then I want to point out that we did receive from CTSI an approval to repair the trailer, and that's in there under special project grant.
That's cool.
You get a lot of bids, and then you submit the highest bid to them. The local bid actually came in a little bit less, but they noticed that a beam was when they started tearing things apart. So they're going to fix that. So that bid will go up a little bit, but we have about $1,200 to play with.
And the trailer's down there now.
It's down there now. It's been down there for a week and a half. It's the hardest thing is getting parts. So we felt they could start tearing it apart and getting it ready to go. And then once it's repaired there, we'll get the graphics put back on it, and they'll be ready to put everything into that. On February 7th, I just want to point that out. We're looking at portable rate weather stations in the county and air monitoring stations. They had a really neat system down at the conference last week. And she is willing to bring that up next time we do any type of a control burn or something. And this will actually give us something to monitor our air quality. And one of the requirements that I mentioned to her was that we need to be able to tie into the air quality control board system. So she said that her system would be able to do that. And that would give us our own readings for the valley, so that we don't have to rely on Pueblo or Colorado Springs system, and we'll have our own information. And I believe
So that's permanent, it's not a portable thing.
No, the system, we're gonna buy two of them. One will be a portable that we could use on our
That's what I
control
thought you were
arms.
talking about.
And then the other one, we're gonna mount in a permanent place, especially during our peak hazard air, which usually now is from June to
So
November.
that's only for air quality. It's
Yeah.
not giving you any other weather data.
Two systems. One's the weather, and then the other is the air quality monitoring
So
system.
that's why you said weather station and you got air quality monitoring.
Yeah, so two different systems, but that'll give us real-time information. I sent you an email this morning with the links and everything to the flood mitigation workshop that you all attended. And so you'll be able to go to that link. If you have any comments, she's would like to have the comments back to her. I think it was the 18th. The date was the 18th of March, but you can look that over and give her some information.
I think we did a pretty good job of beating them up already, didn't we?
No, I didn't think you beat them up at all. We anticipated that. So I think your OEM prepared them for everything. So yeah, it looks like the 18th of March is the due date, but you'll have everything at the meeting was recorded. So you'll be able to go back and look at things if you have any questions. You can let me know or let them know directly. Just going down, so we talk about CDOT. The conference was exceptional. As we mentioned yesterday, it'd be nice. You don't have to go down for the whole thing, but I think if you have an opportunity, and I realize it's a long way, they usually have it down in Loveland, but if you have an opportunity to go to one of those conferences and just walk through the sponsor booths and see the technology that is coming forth, I think it would be well worth your time to do that. In terms of budget, we still have not received, to my knowledge, $38,000 reimbursement from the state. I will be having a meeting at 1 o'clock this afternoon to talk to them about why it's taking so long to get reimbursement. And so we'll be meeting at 1 to kind of go over things and determine a better way for it. Seems like every document that we submit to them, they are going through it with a fine tooth. And it kind of gets old, but that's the way that it works. Other than that, I just want to mention on the 17th, you see that we when I applied for the American Rescue Funds to buy new radios, one of the promises that I made is that we would repurpose all the old radios. Bill, I believe you have a radio, and Tom, you have a radio. If it's a 3000 series radio, it's no longer going to be used in the system. So if you guys can get me those radios back, we're going to get rid of those, and I'm going to repurpose 2 additional. Do you have a new one?
I have a new one, and I also am in possession of a 1500.
Okay, see, so I would, if you are acceptable with this, if you use your Wet Mountain radio, it's the same radio. I could take one of those 1500s, which is still in the system, repurpose that radio. And I owe Jackie a radio. I promised her that I would get her a radio as well. And so if that radio is just sitting, I would like to have it back. I will repurpose it. And she's willing to pay the $75 fee, which consists of purchasing a new battery and completely restoring and refurbishing the radio. And then she'll have a radio that she'll be able to use if she's out in the county and she needs to make a phone call or radio call in emergency. She'll be able to have that means of communication. So we want to get all those 1500 radios repurposed, reprogrammed so that they meet the state standard. And then I think we're probably about 100% in terms of our radios countywide. I'll talk to EMS just to see what they have programmed. When I say EMS, talk about the ambulance service, just to see where their radios are, because annually we have to basically to operate on the DTR system, we have to make certain that all the radios are operating as they should. With that in mind, on radios, I saw in a newspaper, there used to be a Custer County Amateur Radio Club. And The emergency service, for as long as I can remember, have always relied on hams in emergencies for communication. There's an amateur radio club in Pueblo that has taught some folks 2-3 years ago. They put on a class. We had like 15 people sign up to become part of a new amateur radio club here. And then over time, we would like to get those who want to be trained to be trained in ARES, which is Amateur Radio Emergency Services. And then I will utilize some of those ARES folks in an emergency to staff the EOC. And then we have evacuation centers set up. Then that would be our communication link. And they have a beautiful van that's going to be up here, not this Saturday, but next Saturday. If you want to come by, we'll probably have another meeting at the SARS building, but you can see some of the equipment that they have for disaster communication during emergencies. There's a statewide link, and some of you might consider it becoming hams because like we know we can't communicate in Hartsgravel, but the repeaters that the hams have can communicate in Hartsgravel Canyon.
They got them set up on all over.
And then there's a statewide system that you can communicate on that system anywhere in the states, but not for commercial use, but for emergency uses. And so they're starting a new club. I think a name that they have tossed around is the Sangre de Cristo Amateur Radio Club. And that club will be affiliated with the Pueblo Club and then with the Denver Radio Club, because the repeater network that covers New Mexico, Wyoming, and Colorado is owned by the folks there in Denver. So it's a pretty good system.
Time to deal on 12th.
On the 12th, it's from 10, I think we're 9:30 to 10:30, I think is what we said. It might run a little bit longer, but we're going to start at 9:30. And it should be, if the building is available, at the SAR building.
I will apologize in advance. I'm
Okay.
not available this weekend or next.
No, but I mean, if you want to go through the process, we're going to do testing on an extra class operator so we can issue tests. And then I would encourage, if you're interested, to have spouses also, take the radio so that if you have it, you can call home, and it's just a good way of being able to communicate with folks, especially in disaster.
Oldest boy was in this club up here when he did the boneyard. So.
And it really doesn't, there are a lot of people interested, and not everyone has a desire to be part of ARES, and we want to respect that. So we kind of throttled it down to say, hey, we're not going to try to push you into something too fast, let you operate, see if you want to operate. It's good for hunting. There's all types of ways you can use amateur radio communication. I sent all of you an email that I received this morning. It's a conference call, I believe it's Senator Bennett's office that is putting on, but the federal government approved something like, I don't think it was 50 billion, it might have been $50 million for fire mitigation. And I just want to plant the seed that back in I'll date myself, late 70s and 80s, when the government went through one of these programs, a lot of counties were able to use that money to put together, and I'll just use the term BDR, brush disposal crews, PDC. I think is an opportunity for us to kind of look at that. And you had mentioned back, I think it was late December, maybe it was a January meeting, of using some of our PLPT money to maybe buy a brush chipper. And this might be an opportunity for the county, and these are grants, so they may only be like a year grant, 2 year, maybe 3 year, but we could actually put together a brush disposal crew, which we could utilize in the summer months, as a fire crew that could respond to fires, be kind of like a hand crew, but we could use that crew possibly to do fire hazard mitigation work for some of our elderly citizens of the county and people who have functional needs, to help them, do their fire mitigation work. But it's something I'm going to listen in on that call, see what the program is all about. It's got to go through a legislative process at the federal level. The state is considering a similar program. The whole goal is they spent like 50 million. They spent a lot of money suppressing fires last year on the federal level. And so they want to look at how they do this. Instead of spending money putting the fires out, they want to spend money preventing the fires from happening altogether, which means the Forest Service has to develop a program for managing the forest differently than they have been over the last, say, 35, 40 years. And then if they're managing on Forest Service land, then we try to identify areas on the adjacent private lands where we can do some fireman programs. Natural Resource Conservation Service is spending lots of money in the county to do those programs. And we would like to, and I use the term encourage, because we don't have rules and regs that say you must do this, but I think our program this year is going to be education, education, education. In fact, Gwyneth is putting on a workshop tomorrow where we're going to talk about having some educational seminars to try to encourage people to do fire mitigation before the fire season comes about. Because just looking at our weather, remember last year we had 4 foot to 5 foot grass growing in some of our areas. And we would like to have people get that fuel removed before we have the fire, than trying to do it when the fire is burning and coming at us. And we can use PLPT funding. Maybe we'll use some of this new federal money. And it's not just the county going it alone. We're going to collaborate with all of our partners, with the Forest Service, the National Resource Conservation Service, with Colorado Department of Fire Prevention and Control, but to have a comprehensive plan where we're all on the same page and we can try to encourage people to mitigate around their homes before the fire comes.
Was it a new deal with?
These are new programs, and they want our input. And so I don't want to say, well, the county would be interested in this if we're not interested, but I just believe it's a
Good, make a recommendation. Just
could make a recommendation.
Make smart there.
Mm-hmm. And so I just want to be able to say, yeah, we would be interested in something, because all the other counties are doing the same thing. San Luis Valley has put together a fire mitigation council. They're like about 2 years ahead of us, and all of the agencies that are involved in wildland management are going to participate in that council. And the goal is to try to mitigate these hazards before we have the big fires. So we might want to consider maybe using some of those funds to have a fire mitigation council for, Custer County. I think it would be good maybe even to say Fremont County and Custer County work together. And then
Warfenol County.
And Warfenol County, it just makes you get more bang for your buck. Instead of having 4 councils, you have one regional council that can do something.
Sure, there's not one that exists.
There's not one that exists currently. San Luis Valley has a regional council for that, for the southern region, but we don't have something like that.
Yeah.
For us now. And then with that in mind, I think I also sent you, you interface with a lot of people. The Southwest Incident Management Team, that they heard about the fact that I've had many incidents as a safety officer on wildfires. And a safety officer is just not on wildfires, it's on any kind of emergency management incident. So they asked me to consider submitting an application to be part of that team. And then I could get my certs brought back to current.
You're talking about in your past life.
In my past life.
Not the incidences that have occurred on your watch now.
No.
Okay.
These are these are incidents wherever they might occur.
Yeah.
And the way these things work is that, let's use Grand County as an example. Grand County could not fight that incident by themselves. So they had to have a team come in to do that. What these teams are designed to do is they're a regional team. They could go out of region depending on the hazard, but my specialty is safety. That's something that I specialized in with CAL FIRE for 39 years. I was the team safety officer, and we're all risk, all hazard teams. So they asked me to consider But I want to come, because I may have to go out on assignment from time to time. But I think it would be a good idea to get me recertified. So if we have something here, I can function. My primary job here always is to be the EOC manager. But if Fernald County had an incident, then I could come out as a safety officer and help them if they needed a safety officer.
For it though, right?
You would pay for it. It depends on the length of assignment. Mutual aid says that we respond and help each other out, 48 to 72 hours. After that, depending whether the state comes into that, then there is possibilities for that to do. But I don't feel that I should be the only one who tries to get some of these qualifications, because as a county, some of the employees have expressed interest in getting some additional training so that when we have an incident, we are already trained and we function then as a trained.
People on the fire department or in search and rescue or what?
Typically, we have to have sponsors. So typically, I'm speaking of the county employees. I can't obligate Wet Mountain. They have their own
I
program.
thought maybe you were talking about other counties.
So I'm talking about county employees getting trained and in a discipline that they like Vernon could go out as an IT person on an incident and help things get set up. We are so tied to GPS on an incident. If you have to come in on a Saturday and a Sunday, if we have turned it over to the state, there's opportunities for our employees to be reimbursed. And the way that it would work is that we would pay their overtime and then we would get reimbursed for that cost, depending on the incident. And so it's just like a concept out there, but it's just like, let's look at the road and bridge crews. We sent them out to Grand County, but because it was a special incident, they were able to go without, the adequate training. I think it's, I'll just say it's unsafe and it's wrong for us to know that we might put them on an incident like a wildfire and not have them properly trained. One of the things we need to look at, if we're going to use road and crew employees on a wildfire, they should at least have the basic wildland safety gear, that they need. And we teach them that, they don't go, they're not initial attack firefighters, but they may be in a place at a staging area and they need to have some training. And so Colorado Fire Prevention and Control is willing to come in and put on a basic wildland fire class for them. So this is something that we need to do for the safety of our employees, because if they're going
Just put it together and let's make a recommendation.
So we can do that. Yeah. And so let me go back to this. Do I have?
What's this?
This is the incident management team. Do you have a problem with me at least submitting an application? Doesn't mean that they'll approve, but I would like to at least take my credentials and submit it to them and
to see how it impacts.
See how it
and how that would impact you.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with it. I think some of our OEMs in the past have been part of other teams as well.
Okay.
Some of them got engaged to the point where they were going to Florida and all these other exotic places.
I have no desire to go to Florida. I don't like alligators. And I usually snakes either. I don't particularly like snakes, so I'll stay local.
Right.
But that's pretty much what I've got. Now we have just some old business. You guys were going to formulate.
We're going to do that in the next section here, as soon as you quit talking about all your trips you want to take.
Well, let me just look and see flood mitigation. We got the permit for the messaging sign that I'll sign. I've got this. My notes. I mentioned the flood mitigation. I mentioned the trailer. That's the end of my report. Any questions?
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll be there.
Appreciate it.
You want to go ahead and sit there for a second, though, when we get to you here in a second.
Okay.
On that phone.
You can stay there, but you sit there.
Okay.
You'll be next up here again.
All right.
Do you have any unfinished business? Okay.
I am moved to
New
help.
business. You are up again. The consideration of response to the Homeland Security site visit audit. I would move that we authorize them to draft a response after our workshop yesterday, back to the audit, addressing the issues in that audit. So, okay, we do have a motion on the floor to authorize the OEM to draft a response. Any discussion on that?
You do it by the end of June and you're gonna get it so that we're gonna get your piece of it done by the 1st of June. Is that your schedule?
So we're going to try to do it as soon as we can because I want to move on with life.
And your response will go out before the 8th.
I'll make that happen.
All right, that way we'll meet that deadline.
Yep.
Okay. Any other discussion on that?
Can you, first of all, reword, or not reword, can you restate that motion again?
Yes, the motion was to authorize the OEM to draft a response letter
Homeland Security.
to the Homeland Security audit in regards to issues found in the audit that we are addressing.
Thank you.
Anything else? Those in favor of authorizing OEM to draft that response to that audit, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. So if you could get that response,
And I'll
Written to
CC
them.
you.
we would greatly appreciate that.
Okay.
And probably Dorothy as well,
Kelly would be good too.
and Kelly.
I'll CC you. And yeah.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian.
Have a good day today.
I will. I can go back to sleep now.
Yeah, go back to your nap.
All yours. Thank you. You are up.
All right, I finally have, after 2 years, official business cards.
You get the same deal. Butch.
I- There you go.
Scratch out his name and write in.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, no, hers is graphic. Hers has got better graphics, got the kids on
Thank
there.
you.
That's what nice.
Yep.
And look at all that candy in that container.
Surprise is still in it.
It's a running deal over there.
Well, I apologize. I wanted to do this earlier in the year. January was busy and then health decided to intervene and
Always have.
put me in the hospital. So
How are you?
I am doing much better. Thank you. Friday was 4 weeks. So yeah, I'm doing much better. So it
Good.
was supposed to be a day thing and turned into emergency surgery.
Wow.
And 5 nights in the hospital. So anyway, I just wanted to give you guys kind of a overview what happened last year and what we accomplished and all of that. And then kind of at the end, maybe get input on things changing going forward, and I'll elaborate on that. If you want me to be here monthly, I'd be happy to do that, et cetera. So last year, we really focused on expanding childcare here in the community and the county. It kind of came out of COVID just because I think that was something that was highlighted as a huge, and they've used the word, which I'm happy now, infrastructure need for our communities. And so there's a lot of funding that has become available. So in a nutshell, last year, the council helped various groups, our providers as the school, raise and go after $237,000 worth of funding. Basically, with those funds, the school, for example, purchased a brand new modular building that's already been delivered. They're working on connecting sewer and power and all of that. That will have 3 classrooms in it. an infant age room, a toddler age room, as well as a preschool age room. So that will hopefully, from a licensing and a capacity standpoint, be able to house 30+ children. Right now, the school has already opened a toddler center at the Church of Christ building in Silver Cliff that can house 10 toddlers. So between the ages of 1, they basically have to be walking up to age 3. And so that is currently open. Robin Gady also last year applied for a change in her license capacity, which allowed her to go from 6 children to 9 children. That doesn't sound like a lot, but for our community, it's huge. So we added 13, the community added 13 additional spots to childcare, when I think for 15+ years, maybe longer, we've only had 15 total. So we're really excited about that. That building that the school has is 100% paid for. That was one of my goals, to work with them and to work with the school board. One thing that, and I do believe that Mike had emailed community partners earlier in the year, last year, they are still looking for what they call community partners. And what I mean by that is somebody to possibly help offset cost from workforce. The big cost for that childcare going forward will be staff, but it's significant. So they're looking at partners, whether it is, quote, Custer County, or possibly the clinic, with, now that it's part of Heart of the Rockies. So I might come to you guys later with other conversations about what that might look like, if that's even an option and interest from the county's perspective. You got me thinking yesterday or Monday, Bill, when you were at the staff meeting and talking about wanting, families growing here and families taking over businesses. But with today's world, most both of them are working. So need of childcare is significant. If we want people to stay here, I like the word infrastructure. Childcare is a huge infrastructure that needs. So our work is really important on continuing to expand that. So we're really excited. A lot of that was done. But we're the school kind of taking the lead on that, opening that center, really is going to be looking for community partners. So even open to ideas of whether it be the clinic or whoever.
You're talking about a staff of at least 3, one for each.
So
group.
you're going to have a lead teacher in each age group. And then depending on the numbers in there, you would probably also have to have an aide. So now, depending on what the numbers look like, there are waivers that the school, I say the school because their name is on the license, can apply for. So for example, the infant age is 6 weeks to 12 months, basically, and you would probably leave that in that same group. But toddler age and preschool age, depending on numbers and staff, you can mix that age group, but they put kind of a cap on the numbers, and then it depends on staff. So just because a lot of people have the school generally is looking for teachers and just staff in general, and that can sometimes be a challenge. That might be a realistic thing that I'll work with the school on. Okay, waivers as far as combining classrooms just based on staff. Currently, they have hired a lead teacher for the toddler center and an aide. So on the bare minimum, that they will transfer that classroom to that modular building once it's ready to go. So from a bare minimum, we can at least have the toddler room, but they're already advertising, looking for additional staff. On that note, because I know this was something close to your heart, they're really trying to incorporate this and use the childcare center as opportunity for juniors and seniors to do college credit in early childhood and go and do and work. And like their lab time would be in the childcare center. So that's something the school's also looking at. Exactly. So
Cool.
Yeah, I would recommend that you consider filling out an ARPA application for the American Rescue Plan dollars. Kelly's got that application in her office. I've looked at it. It's super simple. Salaries are a legitimate eligible expense for that ARPA grant. So maybe you could get
right.
Seed
1 or
money.
2 positions funded for
Because
a
that'll
year
be the
or two.
long term, right? I do know that talking to Teresa up at the school, that part of the funding, and I think the salaries for the current director the lead teacher and the aide are coming out of ESSER's 3, which has been extended for another year, which is a positive thing. But my mindset is I don't want us to have put in all this work and in 5 years it shuts down. So what are long-term,
Yeah, and that
sustainability?
ARPA dollars wouldn't be available a long time, but
Right.
it should.
It could help, right?
1 year shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will look into that. And
Depends on
that's,
how much. I mean, if it's a part-time aide, that's pretty cheap.
well, and that's one thing that I'll, be talking to Teresa about, because those of you that you were a teacher, the expense for staff is actually higher than you would think. And what really gets them is the para benefits. If it was just, and that's why she was like, if we could get a community partner or a nonprofit, and you're just paying as far as benefits, Medicare, that's, I think, what she'd say, 6 something. Para is like 22 points. So they're looking at options to support that and make it, long-term sustainable. So
How does that work with the school's name being on that?
Well, if that, we're looking at that as far as if the school's name could be on the license. Somebody's name has to be on the childcare license. So I don't think that would be a problem. It would just be in the contracts for those individuals. So as far as the name on the license for the state, I don't think that plays a huge role.
They don't have to be a certified teacher through the school.
No.
So it's almost like a contract base.
No. So, and there's there's a shortage of early childhood workforce across the state and across the country. So they're looking at that and trying to not just put Band-Aids on it, but look at long-term solutions. So like, for example, the next 2 years, those EC, the first 2 basic classes for early childhood workforce, EC 101 and EC 103, are 100% reimbursed and paid for. So you can go to school for free and get those 2 classes. And I've reminded the school in Troy about that, but they're trying to do some long-term solutions. So, but that was a huge accomplishment. The other thing we were excited about is that we hired additional staff. So Anna Powell, I think some of you have met her or at least communicated with her. She was brought on board in the summertime officially. So that has been super helpful and exciting for us. And then just some great events that we finally did last year. Our Family Fun Day event in June, we had at the park. We had over 300 people attend that. And then in July, we partnered with the fire station and we did what they called Chalk the House. We had 150 people at that. And it was a great collaboration between EMS and the fire department and the sheriff's department. And I think even Fight for Life came and the kids let them get into the helicopters and stuff like that. So, and then just last night, we partnered with the school and we did the first one in 2 years, Family Fun Night at the school. We had 70 elementary kids there. And so their families were there. They did a little singing presentation through the music department. And then we were able to break up the families into small classrooms. So it was 10 families and get good dialogue and communication going on what the school's doing right. But then just in general, especially my room, I focused on what have been challenges, what has worked, what is, a big struggle for families here in the community. Big thing is the ruralness, which we can't really change, but how do we support families from that? So continuing to do events like that. One of our long-term goals and my focus now that this childcare expansion has really kind of taken off and we're putting nice bows around it, is expanding and bringing early childhood and pediatric healthcare locally. I was excited about when initially and I'm still excited about Heart of the Rockies now, being a part of us. But with COVID, it was hard to get in there and just get any communication going. And I know they're hiring. I don't know maybe if they've hired a new director, but I know Heather Roberts is leaving. But that's one of our long-term goals is to really help families. Because me personally, I drive down the hill for anything that's associated with my son. And I know a lot of people do that anyway, but I'd like to try and bring that local.
Well, if anybody can do it.
We'll see. So, and so that's kind of in a nutshell. We did a lot last year, but I'd like to, if you want me to come and share monthly, I would be happy to do that. A conversation that I've had with Braden is, the Kids Council being more of, and again, we get the blessing from our steering committee, but being truly a department within the county, what does that look like? Because right now it's, you guys are our fiscal agent, and I do want to talk about budgeting and invoicing. First, I want to thank you all for working with Kathy and Anna during my absence. And I think I was trying to catch up on emails, and a lot of stuff happened literally when I was in the hospital.
It was a little hard to chase it around.
But so some good things that I have recently learned, and then some unfortunate things that I learned over the weekend. Going forward, I have learned that I actually, as the council coordinator, can sign monthly invoices. So I will start doing that now. The other thing that we learned is that we can actually send those invoices in twice a month, which will certainly help with getting reimbursements. But the state has started to change some things. And I learned over the weekend that because some invoices were turned in late or contracts were signed late, we potentially may be out money. And when I say we, I mean actually the county, because the county's name is on the contract. And what I mean by that is that you guys, so for example, November, we turned in the receipts to and invoices to Braden and to Lisa, and that's all, and you guys pay us. And then we turn those invoices, like a lot of
So they aren't
departments.
going to reimburse.
So they and I had a call with my contact at the state yesterday. She has turned in all the invoices. So I double checked with Virginia before I came in here to see, have we received anything from November? Because they technically could tell us, sorry.
Yeah.
But my Michelle at the state said, I turned them in, let's just cross our fingers. And I double checked with Virginia, but she turned them in on February 11th because she got them February 8th. So it could take, they have 45 days to turn that around, right? So, so the good news is that invoicing, which is more time consuming thing, I can do that, which I'm happy to do that because I'm the one that puts it together anyway. So, and I understand it. The contracts, which the good thing about contracts is it's maybe once a year, maybe twice a year, but those do need to be, signed on time. And the other thing that they have done, which will help us, is in the past, the contracts would come, and I think you both have already experienced this through DocuSign, but they would never let anybody else be on that. It would just go straight to you or straight go to you. So they have now let us add myself as a CC on those DocuSigns. So it's just another level of support. But I just want to really reiterate how I can continue to help you guys, help us continue to do this work and making sure that, again, the invoices will be taken care of because I can take that on now. But as far as the contracts, that it really is important, even though it is a pass through, but I still want us to have a good partnership. And I want the county, because the county's name is on the contract, to be proud and say, look at this work that we've done working with the Kids Council for our community. But it's just really important that the contracts get signed on time. We will have new ones coming out. I feel like 70% of my time is spent on budget and financing. New contract, because our fiscal year starts July 1st. So I learned yesterday that I should be looking out for the new budget amendments to be coming out, which means additional contracts the new contract will be signed probably in the next month. And I wasn't aware of the change in the chairman. So that was I apologize. I was also in the hospital. So
well, everybody was, Tina was getting moved.
Yeah, there were a lot of changing
snow.
parts. Yes. So but
I think it's a good idea. You keep bringing a report once in a while.
Okay.
That
Well, and
keeps everybody
that's
aware.
kind of my conversation and feedback from you guys, because I chatted with Braden a little bit this on Monday, and I get it, because we're kind of, I want us to be considered a department within the county. But I also know, we're a unique kind of department. We do finally have an office. I know I had asked you guys about office space. We found some at the Wellness Center. It's on our card. So we're excited about that, but just making sure that I get the email communication about everything. But then, like I said, I'm happy to come in here and be a department head that reports out monthly. some things that I didn't really know about. I mean, I know when you first got elected a year ago, you said, we went and sat and met, but I didn't realize that there were commissioners that were assigned to different departments. So I guess I would love for us to kind of be a part of that, I guess, if that makes sense.
Well, you are.
Going forward. But I didn't know. I mean, it could have been my fault. Like, I didn't know that there was that kind of reporting. I mean, I don't know if reporting is the right word, but mechanism, type of thing.
Yeah, certainly a conversation I'd be willing to be a part of. Technically, you're not a department in the
Right.
county's thing. How much money are we talking about?
That we possibly could be. Well, December's, so I feel confident that we will get November. I don't have November's in front of me. But December's or January's are tied more to the amended contract and budgets. December's totals were $1,244.42. Now it doesn't sound like a lot of money, but we have a small budget, so it could be significant. January's is $2,707.95. My conversation with Michelle yesterday, she's fairly confident, knock on wood, that January there won't be an issue. December could be an issue. And part of it is changes that OEC, the Office of Early Childhood, kind of came back, because I've been pushing with them, like they've been talking out of both sides of their mouth. We've done contract amendments, budget amendments in the past for years. And when the contract was signed, whatever the effective date. So for example, with these two new funding streams, and that's why we had to have a new contract signed. They said it's a 7 months that you have to spend these dollars and do the work. It will start December 1st. The contracts didn't come out till whenever they did and then signed. And they're saying less, and you can't do any of that work until the contract is signed. They've never done that in the past. So Michelle and my person is saying, I don't know why they're just saying this now, because they've never done that.
Probably why they're going to have to think twice about not paying, because they changed the process.
Right. Well, and there was just muddied communication on that. So
It's not a matter of withholding those dollars. They're going to want those dollars back.
Well, they're not out anything.
We already paid.
So the county's already paid us. They haven't.
Okay.
So we turned in the invoices to them for them to reimburse us, which is how it's always been. I mean, listening to Laura, like with some of their and the public health, that's pretty standard for a lot of government funding streams. And you do the work and then you bill them later.
I mean, if they change that, they need to make sure they communicate.
Agreed. And my point to them was like, if you're going to change this, or if you're going to try to be sticklers, or really like you can bill us when the work starts, then you need to start that at the beginning of a fiscal year. You can't do that in the middle of a contract amendment. I mean, but it's also the state we're talking about. So
Are they July to July?
July 1 to June 30th.
June, I should.
Yeah. We follow the same fiscal year as the state. Now I have some ideas on if worst case scenario was we're talking about December. So $1,250, give or take. I have some ideas on how I can move if OEC is not going to reimburse us, aka reimburse the county, those funds. I have funds the county already has from other grants that I can just, from a budget standpoint, move. I just don't want to set a precedent from the state's standpoint or us here that has to happen again.
Hold out on that. You don't have to. Don't.
Well, I'm not going to do anything until I know for sure.
Yeah.
And like I said, hope, and we're a smaller council, which is a good thing, but then also a bad thing, because I was trying to tell the state, I'm like, you can't just not pay us because we don't have a cash flow system where we can cover those funds if you decide you're going to change things. So I guess I just wanted to, again, thank you for your support, but just reiterate the importance of those contracts and the invoices being signed. I will take care of the invoices going forward. But if you would like me to start, reporting out on a monthly basis, I'm completely happy to do that. I know we're technically not an official department within the county, even though we do, it's a unique situation with the fiscal agreement. And if we want to look at that, we're, as the council and for the coordinator with this reporting from our steering committee, we're super, super happy with having worked with the county the last 2 or 3 years. I don't know how long ago it changed when I came on board, because I know that this school used to do it.
I might suggest meeting quarterly,
Yeah, I would think that
start
would
out with.
see how that works out. I hate to take you away from your other duties every month.
And that's not necessary. I don't
And
think.
speaking to the contract, you said that one is coming up very soon, so.
And they have already, because there's the time when there's a document that has to be approved and signed to change. So, when it would change from you to him and then now, so that's already been filled out and they have it in their system. So they have you now listed as the signee for the contracts. And that's how I also noticed on that updated form, they allowed me to add myself to be CC'd on the DocuSign, and then also allowed me to sign and be the point of contact for the monthly invoices. And then that was another thing they didn't tell us. We did not know we could send invoices in twice a month. That would have been super helpful to know that.
Well, good.
So any other questions or
Well,
feedback?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, whenever the commissioners sign a contract, I'm supposed to get a copy of that. So can I start getting copies of those
Yes.
contracts?
Yes.
And I'm kind of wondering if you're signing the contract, should that be something on the agenda that you approve in a meeting?
I think we had done that last year. I think that
It was.
had been done in the past, yeah. Because and the other thing was, when I first started, they weren't using the DocuSign. They were just sending, you would have been involved with that. They were just sending, and I think they were able to CC, but when they went to the DocuSign, which I get, it's more secure, they were not, they didn't allow. They only allow one whoever's the signee to get it. So, I mean, I'm happy to, when I do the invoices, CC whoever signs them, I CC Braden and Dorothy. And Virginia, just so that Virginia knows these are the dollar amounts to be looking for reimbursement. So I can.
So when you CC them, does it have the, like if you CC'd me, it would have a copy of the signed thing on there that I can print off?
I think so. I'll have to see with the DocuSign how that works. But once it's signed, usually they send a copy of it.
Oh, okay.
Which I'll be happy
Which
to
you could
send
just
to
send.
everybody. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll work.
So I will try to address that the same day that we address it in our meeting and approve it.
And they're
Don't see it right away.
usually good about letting us know when it's going to come out, but sometimes they're not.
Yeah, if you get that notification, you're certainly welcome to just call Dorothy and ask her to put it on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and the contracts, I'm not so much, I mean, like I said, I was pretty excited to know that I could sign the invoices, because that's really, the contracts are very, very important, not to minimize that, but the invoices, I mean, that's how we get, the funds reimbursed. So
I think Braden will probably smile too on that, because he was lined up to be signing.
He went to church. I didn't go to church.
Very good. Well, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Congratulations. You've done a ton
I
of
appreciate
work and
that.
made a huge difference in this county. We're considered a childcare desert, and you're working
Trying to change
desperately to
that.
change the.
It's an
climate.
oasis.
So
Yeah.
we appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, I would sure check on the whole ARPA thing.
Okay.
That applications in. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good job. Keep it up.
Want to make a stretch?
Yeah.
Have a good day, kiddo.
Hey, does anyone have any additional items of business?
I'm assuming somebody must. No. Oh. I don't know.
Just came to enjoy our company. I guess.
Came in to defend himself on the kids' council.
Wanted to make sure I was here in case there are any questions.
Hearing no other additional items of business, I'll open it up again for public comment. Anybody here in the room? And I'm not seeing any hands up online. So hearing none. I will adjourn this meeting at 11:24.
And we are operating on a hotspot, which is costing us money, so.